Hello, all you lovely people of Earth. This is Claude S. of Anything Box.
I am so afraid of living in oblivion.
And you're listening to the New Wave Music Podcast, right here, right now.
Welcome back to the New Wave Music Podcast. This is Steve. I'm also joined by T-Bone. Today we have a special guest joining us as well. You're going to recognize our guest from her iconic hit, Johnny, Are You Queer? As well as He Could Be the One. And School Is In. That's right. Today we're talking with Josie Cotton. Josie, thank you for joining us on the New Wave Music Podcast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, we're really happy to have you here. So let's go ahead and start off a little bit earlier on. How did you get started in the music industry?
I just started in the music industry. That happened when I came to Los Angeles from Texas in order to pursue a career in music, and as a songwriter than as a singer, actually. And I came out here and just try to figure it all out. It's not easy to find yourself.
Well, you've done pretty good for yourself, I would say.
I think so.
The song Johnny, Are You Queer is so well known. When the song was released, there was backlash, especially on the East Coast, but yet it seemed to have a lot of support for the song on the West Coast. What were your thoughts on the controversy?
Well, that was just a very small part of the controversy. I mean, the attack really came from the televangelists, the Catholic Church. I was banned in Amsterdam. I mean, it was a whole mishmash of insanity. So it was confusing, to say the least. And a lot of the other people involved were just the kids who didn't know what that word was, and they didn't know it was taboo. I mean, it was in polite society, you didn't say that word. It was shocking. And so I was surprised that it was so controversial, that people just had a problem with it. I don't know. Band in Amsterdam is pretty good, right?
Yeah. I'm impressed. I mean, I always enjoyed the song. I loved it, as a matter of fact. And I never really took it anything more than just, a fun kind of new wave pop song.
Yeah. I mean, the televangelists thought I was the devil, and I was actually banned, trying to convert people to homosexuality. But they used it also in conversion therapy. At least in Utah, because I met someone who was in one of those camps, and they would play Johnny, Are You Queer, like over and over, and with headphones and like torture. And it didn't work that way.
I would have been, bouncing around to the beat on it if they played it over and over
I think
again.
they had it kind of loud for like hours. I don't know. Not good.
So a little bit of research. Originally, from what I found, that song was supposed to be on the first Go-Go's album, but they decided against it. And if that's right. Oh, is that not right?
That's not correct.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened was that it was written with the Go-Go's in mind by my producers, who were also producing the Go-Go's at the time. And they had a falling out. They were, just one of those things that happens in the music business. And so the Pain Brothers took the song away from them. They would play it live. It was their big song at the end of the night. And they got out of a major contract, and the Pain Brothers said, okay, you can go, but we're taking the song. And so then I came along. I was just singing the demo tape for their publishing company, Warner Brothers. and it just turned out that demo got signed. Yeah, that's the real story.
Oh, good. Okay.
Honor.
No, it's good to know the truth.
Yeah.
The song "Johnny Are You Queer" and yourself had a breakout role in the film Valley Girl. How did you get approached to be in the film along with the song?
I'm pretty sure they were seeking me out because of the song, because the song had kind of, been out the previous year, and the director started calling my producers, and he thought it was a hoax, and he kept hanging up on the producer, the director rather, and so he just said, "There's some crank call. This maniac is calling. They say they want you to be in the movie." And and I just said, "Can you just ask him what this is about?" And so he finally talked to her. They said it was going to be a big music movie, and would I be involved? And so I said, okay. I didn't know it was going to be like such a remembered, iconic, loved movie. For some people,
it's a real cult classic. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely. In allmusic.com, in their biography of you, they say that your later career, they compare you to people like Jane Siberry and Kate Bush. And I would have to think that that's very flattering.
No, it's not.
No, you don't think
not
so?
true. I will tell you that all music is an enemy of all musicians. They haven't changed their bio. They don't update them. That is from one review I got in 1989 or something. It was, and you can't call them. You can't get them to change it. That should be eliminated from the internet. I'm telling you, it is like malarkey, and everything on there is a lie.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm not.
It must still be flattering to be, compared to Kate Bush and other artists.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was one album that was very artsy, my Frightened by Nightingales album, and I guess there could be a comparison. But to say that my later career, I mean, I've done 8 albums, so it's not accurate, and it's maddening because people always use that, and they always use that in like articles about me, and they will quote All Music and go, no. And they're being sued by all kinds of musicians. But I'm not the only one.
and I brought it up again.
Yeah.
Well, who would you say you relate to most of contemporary artists?
Well, I mean, every album I do is different. I experimented a lot. Oh God, I mean, someone current, like right that I would compare myself to now, or
well, either way.
I mean, there's different shows I can do. I have my rockabilly set. I have my electronica set. I have my cabaret set. I have my new wave. I have my power pop. It's just, I don't think there's anyone quite like me. I'm a multiple personality in regards to the music that I like doing, and that makes it very hard to book me because people don't know what I'm going to do.
What they're going to get, yeah.
Or what they're going to, yeah. And then I did that whole, the whole B movie record of theme songs from B movies from the '60s that John Waters wrote the liner notes for. It's all super garage rock, and so I have a whole garage rock set I can do also. So I don't know. There's no one really doing that. I mean, I'd have to pick different artists from the different genres. And I even have a jazz set I could do. I mean, and then combinations. It's just
a wide variety.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about your new album, Day of the Gun. Yeah. I found it to be kind of a cross between, a Go-Go's type surf rock, Tammy Wynette, and 60s pop girl groups. Lots of different styles on there. So I've got to ask, what are some of your influences?
When I was growing up, the girl groups were definitely, I think, how I taught myself to sing, and then Tammy Wynette came much later when I moved to California. But I would say Wanda Jackson, Ronnie Spector, and that type of thing. And, just kind of classic, pop singers from that era, females. Dusty Springfield,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I like so much about this new album of yours is that there is such a great variety of different songs and sounds. And it I don't want to say it's all over the map because there is sort of a little structure to it, I found, but so many different interesting styles to it.
Yeah, it meanders, and the order of the songs became really important because some of them were so shocking to hear. Like those can't not be on the same record. But when I had found the right order, it was like, okay, this is like it eases into these other realms, and so.
I really enjoyed the album Day of the Gun, as I found it had a lot of musical variety, from a bit of new wave, such as the song Circle Dance,
It's all forgiven, it's all figured out. It's a learning curve. Now circle on down, circle on back, now roll away with the hat sachet. Circle on back, now weave the ring. It's a hell of a thing.
to a bit of 60s psychedelic on Disco Ball,
Bedroom floor, everything is clear. Like a disco ball spinning in the mirror.
to even an outstanding Western song, The Ballad of Elvis Presley,
Born to sing, we crowned him king. He touched 1 billion souls. His name was Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll.
How did you go about writing this album?
Well, it was just setting aside a time to work on the song ideas that I collect, like just randomly coming up with melodies and lyrics and then recording them and going back to edit them all together. And so it was just a process of just kind of you're putting it all together like a puzzle. And, every song has a different story to it. They're all, varied. The song Morricone was, Painting in Blood. That was specifically inspired by his music in these Italian horror movies from the 70s. And so that was just me being inspired by his music and him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Steve just mentioned that the Ballad of Elvis Presley. Who is that singing with you on that song?
He took his band up north to Nashville, but they didn't treat him well. They said rockabilly music was never gonna sell.
That's Kevin Preston. Isn't he wonderful? He my very good friend. He has a band called the Prima Donnas, and or just Prima Donna, not the, and no S at the end. But he plays in Green Day. I mean, Green Day is like a trio, but there's actually 5 guys in the band, and I don't think they're allowed to say his name, but he tours with them all over the world, and he's an amazing musician.
Yeah, the combination of your voice and his is wonderful, and he has a real, kind of a real rockabilly kind of vocal to him that works so well on that song.
Yeah, he does. He's a little Elvis-y at moments, his vibrato.
Oh yeah.
Stuff. And we've done quite a few projects together, and we did this John Waters show at the Madonna Inn, which was crazy, and he played Tiki Oasis with me and stuff like that. He was in my band for a while, and then Green Day stole him. Green Day stole him from my band.
How dare they?
How dare you? I thought you loved me.
So can you tell us who else was on the album and what role did they play?
Well, Clem Burke played drums on a couple of songs. Yeah, he played on the song "Day of the Gun" and also on the Ballad of Elvis Presley. And because he was there to play on "Day of the Gun," and when I got him there, I said, "Do you think you could play on this rockabilly song?" And I don't know if you play rockabilly. He said, "I did an entire record with Wanda Jackson, and every song was about Elvis. I think I can do this." And so I was like, okay. So he was overqualified, but and then Eddie Spaghetti from the Super Suckers plays bass on a couple of songs, and Kevin and Paul Rossler, who co-produced this record with me, who played, was in the Screamers and the Germs and all kinds of Twisted Roots, all kind of insane punk rock, iconic bands. And that's really it's really it, except for just my other people in my band and whatnot.
So are they people that you work with on a regular basis? Or
Yeah, the guitarist Marcus Watkins, he's played on my last like 4 records, and we played live together. He's a virtuoso on the guitar. He's in the Elvis. Did you see the Elvis video?
I did.
It's beautiful. He's the guy who plays the lead guitar on that. Oh, and Lee Rocker. I forgot. Lee Rocker. He played on the Ballad of Elvis Presley, and Buzz Campbell, who is his guitarist. And
it's nice to have some connections, huh?
Well, they weren't my connections.
Oh.
I tend to alienate people. I don't know what it is about me, but I'm just shy.
It sounds like you've got some sort of connections there.
I have a connection. Certain people with me, not everybody.
So I really like the track Ukrainian Cowboy, and it has kind of that twangy Eastern European sound.
There's a hole in my soul as big as Russia, or maybe Prussia, before the war. And I don't believe in love, but I do believe in shame.
Yeah.
Considering the timing of the album, was this written about the Russian invasion of Ukraine?
It wasn't, and I was actually kind of embarrassed when that war broke out. It was just a song I had, and Russia was in the news. It was an old cowboy song I had not been able to finish, and then that word Russia creeped into the song, and so it's still a cowboy song, but I needed a title, and my producer said, "Well, you need a title," and I just off the top of my head said Ukrainian Cowboy. And then I couldn't change it because it was all written down and whatnot. And it turned out that there are Ukrainian cowboys and they have their own music. And so it's a thing over there. So I got a pretty big following in Russia and in the Ukraine at that point. But that was an accident. I apologize if I started the war.
Let's hope it didn't go that far.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, I love that song. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Josie, one thing I really enjoy when we do album reviews on the podcast is albums that have musical layers to them. Your album is absolutely filled with them, from your vocals to the musician that you're working with to your vivid lyrics, especially in like Cold War Spy.
On a train out of East Berlin with my double agent and my 6. La, 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 la. He's a Cold War spy, German on his father's side. He's a Cold War spy.
The lyrics on that story is just compelling and pulls you in. But then I discovered your music videos for this album, and I was completely blown away. I have to ask, what video was your favorite to work on?
Oh gosh, the favorite one. Eek. Well, I think the most compelling one is the best one I've ever done is the Ballad of Elvis Presley. I think it's kind of epically filmed and looks like a little movie, and I'm really, really proud of that one. But I'm working on a new one on Sunday, so I'm kind of excited about that one for Day of the Gun. And I'm making up for all the albums I did that never had videos. Like my first record, which had the big hit, Johnny. They canceled the video shoots because they didn't think there was a future in video, and they did that in the 80s. Like, okay, Elektra Records. All right. But so that really hurt my visibility because I wasn't on MTV in that era when, I had 2, pretty sizable hits in that time. So I don't know how we got up on that. What were you saying? What was the question?
Your favorite video that you worked on so far for this album?
Oh yeah, I did Veer. The Elvis one. And I'm quite fond of See the New Hong Kong, I think, is one of the most beautiful videos I've ever done. And Get Off the Road, the from the She Devils on Wheels. It's from the album, and that's a really fun one. I kill 11 men in 3 minutes. And it's awesome. and
Josie Cotton Slayer.
And the See the New Hong Kong, I think, is the most artistic thing I've ever done. That's my biggest hit of all. Like, people think it's Johnny and he could be one. See the New Hong Kong went higher on the charts than anything I ever did.
So, you kind of mentioned those kind of late era 60s, 70s horror films. On the song Painting in Blood,
Come to us, Morricone, you did it for love. Run to us, Morricone, you're painting in blood.
musically and lyrically, it seems kind of like a tribute to that. Is there a story behind that song?
No, I just was inspired by the music from this one movie, and I just wanted to recreate an Italian horror movie from the 1970s, which I'd started watching, and that's how I ran across. I mean, I love B movies, I love horror, it's kind of how I entertain myself. But I was watching, I discovered these Italian horror movies, and the music it's visually so compelling. I mean, that the cinematography is outstanding on those, and a lot of people, Argento came from that school, and the music was just. I mean, the plot lines are so dumb. I mean, it's just like it's formulaic. They all have a knife. They all have black leather gloves, and it's like hilarious. And some beautiful girls getting killed. And that they won't change it. The Italians are like adamant that that's the only way to do an Italian horror movie. But the music, and I'm going, who is that? And I looked it up, and it was Morricone. And I went, how did they talk him into doing these movies?
Yeah. Oh, and he did so much back then.
So much. And he did so many soundtracks. But I knew him from, the spaghetti westerns, which I was so enamored by. And then I just like, my question was like, why would he do it? Like, because he, and then I just realized in kind of researching it and whatnot, that he just loved all music. He was influenced by so many different kinds of music. And so he didn't like stoop to conquer. That's the saying, where you don't, he just embraced it all. And I just thought that was such a beautiful. He died while we were recording it, so it became like a goodbye to him, I was just kind of in love with him. It was kind of a comical take on an Italian horror movie, like my version of one, and and asking him why did you do it, Morricone?
He worked with John Carpenter on the Thing soundtrack, which I just think is phenomenal.
No, and also The Exorcist too. He did, and what influenced him. This is the other thing I loved about him. He was influenced by so many different genres. Like he heard Rosemary's Baby had the first like evil children's choir, right? It was like, and he took that and put it in The Exorcist too. And he brought it to another level. And
he was brilliant.
He was brilliant. I mean, he listened to sweet music. I mean, you gotta love that.
Oh yeah.
Well, Josie, usually it's me and T-Bone giving recommendations on tracks that stood out to us on an album.
Okay.
Since we actually have you on here, you're on the album The Way of the Gun. What's some tracks that stood out to you, or what's some tracks that you would recommend our audience jumping into?
Oh, that's so hard. That's really hard. They're all my, deformed children. I don't know. I just don't know.
I love that.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to push it to you, because there's just so many on this album. I couldn't really I couldn't
even start to, where do you start on recommending different songs?
I would say the ones that fills me with kind of like I feel so grateful to have been able to write that song is Overturning.
Everybody knows Rome is burning. Everybody knows how the story goes. Overturning under every stone. Rome is burning.
It's not like an upbeat song, but it's there's something haunting about it. And when I hear it, I feel something different than all the other songs.
Kind of a change of subject here, but ever since the pandemic, artists seem to be doing more recording remotely. Is that how this album was made, or were you able to get into a studio with your folks?
Well, I have a recording studio with my partner, my business partner, Paul Rossler. He and I have the record company together, and we have a Kitten Robot studio and Kitten Robot Records. And so I was able to do it in my studio, but some of the artists we had to do remote. Like I did a duet with Ben Weasel, from Screeching Weasels, and Screeching Weasel, and so he sent his tracks over, and then I sent my tracks over, and the same thing with Justin Pearson, this punk rock kind of genius guy, and just different projects I did. The Go-Go's thing. People were still wearing masks when I did the Go-Go's cover on that the record of all you've heard of that record, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and I did Fading Fast on there.
So you did this one a lot remotely. A lot of artists have been doing remotely well before the pandemic. Have you been doing it that way also, or more studio?
I love being in the studio. I'm a real studio rat. I have all my dogs trained, in my life to be able to sleep through a drum, like a drum track, and so I could probably destroy their eardrums, but oh well, I don't know. Mine are too. So, but yeah, no, I don't. I like to be in there. I like to see, and get a vibe and feel the magic, of eye contact and and all that.
Do you imagine? And I haven't asked this of any other artists that we've talked to, but do you imagine it going back to studio recordings at this stage, or do you think remote is kind of the way of the future?
Oh, well, I wasn't aware that so many people were going remote, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of artists coming into our studio. We rent it out. It's a professional studio. So we haven't seen anything like that. People came in the whole pandemic.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I just got to think. I mean, I'm not a musician, but I just got to think that having those people together, creatively, and input and everything, that being in the studio just has to be overall a better experience.
Well, it is. It's kind of my happy place. To be in there and stuff, and it's just a lot of camaraderie and kind of bros kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm a bro, apparently. So.
You are.
Thank you.
Well, Josie, you did mention you formed your own record label, Kitten Robot Records.
Yeah.
You reissued all your prior albums and recently released the newest album under that label. What led you to create your own label?
I love that painting behind you. My God, the robot painting. That's good. I love robots, and that's how that name happened. But basically, I all the records I had done after Elektra were basically would put out myself, and I really didn't know what I was doing at all, and so I would make them, I'd master them, make the artwork, and put them out, and I didn't know what to do with this finished. Just kind of like leave it, in front of the church or something, and run away. I just didn't know how to have a release date and stuff like that, and press, and I would just make them. And so, but some of them had gotten out, and strange people were getting checks from this money, and then people didn't know who the publishing company was. They were sending it to accounts that were long gone, and it was just and my manager just said, the only way to fix this is you have to start over, take everything off the internet, record by record, because people were selling them. And it was like, that's my record. And who are these people? So we had to take one by one. And it was a whole process. You had to contact people who wouldn't get back with you. And so one by one, we had to take them off and release them on a whole new label. And that's how it began. I mean, I'd had little record companies before, a couple of them, but they were kind of make-believe record companies. And it was it said the company name on there, but it was it wasn't a real business. But I just kept doing it. And so now they all got a real release. They got, a lot of them extra songs put on there and new artwork and stuff. And so that was kind of lovely to see them get the send off they never got, the poor babies.
This label's the real deal.
It's the real deal. And yeah, we have someone who, you know, who's worked at Triple X for years and years and has done all kinds of stuff in the music business. So we actually have a real marketing person and a real graphic artist department. I mean, it was like a real press, well, you know, Ray. And so I actually have a press person now. So
I really love the cover of the new album. Also, it's colorful. It's kind of playful. It's wonderful.
I appreciate that so much. It was tricky. You know, I struggled with. I mean, I had the song "Day of the Gun." I just loved that phrase, and I couldn't believe no one else had used it in a song or something. I was like, really? It's so like of the moment. It was like, I didn't want to be construed as political at all or making a statement. I like people to figure out what I'm saying and not necessarily know. And because for me, like if someone explains a song to me and I had been listening to a different way, interpreting a different way, it kind of ruins it for me. So I stopped explaining myself a while back. You know, like, I don't know. It means, what do you think it means? That's what
let people interpret it their own way.
Yeah, and so that was basically it.
Well, I can see that you're scheduled to play on one of the Lost 80s live shows this summer.
Yeah.
Are there any other performances planned where our audience can check you out?
I'm playing at the Alex's Bar on August 13th, and I have other things in the works, but I can't really talk about them yet. But I'm just trying to, you know, get the right booking agent right now, and I think I have found the right person. So that's, you know,
for our listeners, where is Alex's Bar?
Alex's Bar is in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
You know, outside of Los Angeles. There was a whole punk rock kind of movement there. Where are you guys?
We are in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Are you really? Oh my God! Wow. So you're the home of the conversion camp.
Oh, unfortunately.
I have a lot of friends from Salt Lake City, and they're all highly eccentric.
Oh, there is a lot of very eccentric people here.
Yes.
We're not quite Portland, but we have a lot of eccentric people here.
But better than Portland, like more eccentric, you know.
Maybe.
I think so.
Well, you know, so you mentioned that you can't really talk about touring. I mean, I'm not going to ask you, anything further on that, but I do hope that, including us, that you'll be able to get on the road, and we'd love to see you live. No, we'd love to see you here. We'd love to see you here.
Okay, well, I plan on doing that. I love playing live and whatnot, so we'll see. Something in New York in the fall, and this, you know, I don't have all the details, so sorry.
No, that's fine. Well, Josie, we want to thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Where can our listeners get more information about you? Where can they get the new album, possible tour dates? Where's the best place to find you?
Okay. I mean, there's kittenrobot.com is where all our artists are on there, and have everybody on there, and all the tour dates and upcoming attractions and whatnot. So that's the best way. I'm also on MySpace. Not MySpace. Oh my God. Going back in time. No, stop, Josie. Come back. Okay. No, on Instagram, Josie Cotton Official. And, you know, I'm on there more than Facebook now.
Well, thanks again. We can't thank you enough for being on here with us. We really appreciated talking to you.
And I'm so glad you all actually listened to the record. You know, it makes me feel good.
I've been listening to it
record. I'd recommend our listeners picking that up as well. Like I said, I highly enjoyed it. I love the layering to the music on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we've already mentioned it kind of, but yeah, for our listeners, if you're looking for an album that has really, if you get right down to it, just about everything on there, then you will greatly appreciate it, because you can listen to so many albums where the whole album seems like it's just one song blended into the next song, and that is not the case with this one, and it really works.
I appreciate that so much, guys.
All right. Well, thanks again. Have a wonderful day, and the best of luck to you and everything that's going to happen.
Bye, Steve. Bye, T-Bone.
Thank you.